Cole, how disappointing was it for you guys to kind of have that sluggish start against the Chiefs?
Yeah, I mean, we definitely got to be better coming out. So the sloppy start was definitely not what we wanted, but something we got to rebound from.
Ben was, I think he used the word disappointing after the game, just in terms of how you started. But how was he like when you guys got into the film room after after you slept on it or whatever? What was the back and forth like with your head coach?
He seemed disappointed. So same with what you guys got. So yeah, that's what we got. Then we split off and went and talked to our position coaches going over the film room. So but yeah, definitely disappointed. So what he told you is what he told us.
It sounds like he's being pretty open publicly with what he thinks, and like you said, that's kind of match what he says behind closed doors. Have you noticed that when you've seen his comments? Or?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really pay too much attention to. I would expect him to be pretty forward in terms of where we stand on things. To you guys, that being said, he's much more detailed when he talks to us, as he should be. So I think he gives you guys maybe the broad stroke where we kind of get a little bit more of the finer details of the picture, which is to be expected, and how it should be.
What conclusions would you draw after the last month plus for the offense and where you guys have come from and where you need to go?
Yeah, I think we've made steps for sure. I think our physicality has upped dramatically since the beginning of camp. I think adding pads and kind of seeing the run game a little bit come to life there at the end in Kansas City, and I think it's come together really in a few of the joint practices, and the physicality really showing up on tape. I think that's really good. I think guys are playing fast. We're getting off the count much better than we were in the beginning of camp. That being said, I think what showed up in Kansas City and what's kind of ebbed and flowed throughout camp is a little bit of our inconsistency in terms of penalties and getting operated correctly, and those are things that we need to get corrected quickly here if we want to have the success we want to have this season.
Small sample size. Developing offenses with different coaches and quarterbacks here in your time with the Bears. What stands out about this process with Ben and Caleb leading the way?
Well, I think just talking with Ben, I mean, again, just how detailed it is, nothing that I haven't said before, and he continues to harp on those things and point out those mistakes in the meeting room, and I think guys have responded well to that.
Well, the finish to Friday's game was pretty exciting. Can you
take
us through what you saw from Tyson just in that moment at the end of a really cool week for him?
Yeah, I mean, Tyson's a killer, man, and he's a competitor, and so to see him, obviously with the extension, was super happy for him to get that off his plate and to secure that for himself and his family. That's awesome, and for him to go out and be the competitor who he is, and there was no doubt in my mind that he was going to go down and score a touchdown and go win the game. That's just who he is, and for Jade to show up like that was really cool to see. So some really cool moments there at the end of the preseason game for sure.
Cole, with these delayed games, what are you seeing like causing them? Obviously, the play got to come in from the coach. Quarterback's got to get it to you guys. You guys got to, understand that, get to your spots. But they keep showing up, and I feel like it's getting pretty late in the process for that particular thing to continue to show up. What are you seeing as a theme that may be leading to some of these delayed games?
Well, I think we just got to be better from the start to the beginning. We just got to be better. I mean, if there was one thing that I could peg it on, I would have told everybody in the locker room we would have fixed it already. So, but whether it's one thing here, one thing there, we got to get that fixed, and that's the start of everything. I really do believe. Most of the snap is one pre-snap, and your identification and, the way you get to the line, your cadence, your get off. Those are all things that happen before you even make contact with anybody. And those are the things that you got to be really good at if you even want to have a chance, especially against a defense like that, and especially against some of the top teams in the league if you want to have a chance against these guys, especially on the road. So, again, like I said, that's something that we got to get fixed in a hurry.
Veteran, do you have that like internal clock to where like you guys in the huddle? There's a couple times last week, you guys were in the huddle like 10 seconds, 9 seconds ago. You start the huddle, don't you start to feel that a little bit? Like we've been in here for a minute. We probably need to get.
Sure. That being, I don't want to be the one to call the plays in that situation either. So again, just part of our operation that needs to get better, and something we got to get fixed quickly.
Cole, you talked about the physicality of this team. What did that practice a couple weeks ago do for everybody?
Yeah, I think that started it. We were in heavy personnel for a lot of the practice, short yardage situation, and it was really just an attitude practice. And those type of things, when it's short yardage, goal line, your technique and fundamentals might not be perfect and exact. It's more just about your intent and your willingness to go block. And That's kind of the most pure form of football, I think, in that sense. And I thought that was a good step for us as a team in our physicality, and I think that's transitioned over the past few weeks.
Practice ended, did you sit there and go, okay, this may be something we look back on?
Yeah, for sure. I think I left that practice a little early, and my arm was about 3 times the size that it is now. So, yeah, no, definitely felt that one for sure. But those are the type of callous practices you need to get ready for the season.
I don't know if we
Cole,
talked to you since then. What happened on that goal line play when you got hurt?
It was a short yardage play. Just TJ Edwards laying the wood, man, laying the wood. So.
Cole, you've been with the Bears for several seasons, obviously, but what have you seen with Ben Johnson's system and the way that he uses the tight end that is different than what you've experienced in the past?
Yeah, I think not just the tight end. I think everybody. The way he puts guys in certain positions to succeed, and I know that the coaching staff, I think they've done a good job of really letting everybody kind of have an opportunity at doing things throughout camp. And, I'm interested to see, as we go forward here in the season, how we game plan against certain opponents for matchups and whatnot. But I think Ben does really, when you watch Detroit from last year, he does a really good job of putting guys in positions to succeed. And I think, that's the number one thing you want in your coach is to put you in a position to do well and, not ask you to do things that, maybe you're not great at, but put you in positions to do your best and to execute at a high level. And you can really see Ben trying to do that and the coaching staff doing that throughout this camp so far.
Has
What
there
you
been
saying, Cole?
anything in this camp that you felt like, part of your game that has grown throughout camp or that the new coaching staff has accentuated?
Yeah, I think a big thing for me, talking to Ben in the offseason was the run game in particular, maybe more so the gap scheme type of plays and handling six techs. And, I think that's something I've grown with this camp and my physicality and that and my technique and my get off and all those things. So, I think that's one area that I've noticed myself grow throughout this camp period.
Where have you seen Colston grow? Where have you seen Colston grow the most over the process since he's been here?
I think just learning the speed of the game. For any rookie, especially a tight end, whether it's in the run game or pass game, there's a lot going on. There's front shifting, coverages being flipped, rotating safeties, corner cats that you got to be aware of. You got a defensive technique. What is that telling you about what the corner might do, what the nickel might do? And you've seen him maybe make a mistake or not recognize something, and then the next time he gets that look, he nails it. So he's a really smart player. That's been cool to see. And obviously, his athleticism and his ability is off the charts. So I'm excited to see him grow this year and see what he can do to help our team.
Cole, kind of the other way around on that, I was gonna ask, when they brought in Colston, it was thought that you could kind of be a mentor and teach him some things. What have you learned from him, if anything?
Well, I think Herb kind of asked this question. I was never told to be a mentor, and that's not what that was. And I have a lot of things that I want to accomplish myself. That being said, I'm always gonna reach out and help the guys in our room, and we have an unbelievable cohesion in our tight end room right now. But no, with Colston, it reminds you of some of the stuff that you had to go through as a rookie yourself. I remember all the difficult things that I saw as a rookie, and whether that be like I would just mention, rotating coverages, fronts, recognizing all those things, and kind of see Colston go through that. I can obviously relate and trying to help him out as best I can. So, but you kind of see a lot of yourself as a rookie when these rookies kind of come in there and they're trying to find their way. How's it going?
We're good.
Hey, when do you start thinking about the Vikings in terms of whether it's at home on your own, or just how do you kind of look at that?
Still 2 weeks out.
I mean, it's always there in the back of my mind. I mean, ever since the schedule was released, in the front of my mind, I always try to focus on the day. Obviously, this is one of those weeks where it's kind of like, as a team, and obviously as the head coach, we want to focus on ourselves. This is like a great fundamentals week, getting great condition, make sure we're not just taking, the week off or nothing like that. It's really focused on ourselves. But at the same time, I am and I will be taking some peeks of some film from Minnesota this week to just try to start getting my mind prepped for, obviously who we're going to go up against, but also kind of watching some previous games as far as like Minnesota versus New Orleans, or maybe even like some LA games, just because of all coaches come from the same trees, or kind of like the McVay tree. So I'll be watching some of those games just to see some plays that maybe it worked those games for, like say the Rams ran a great play, they might the Rams might be watching that film like, hey, that works really good against DA. Let's bring that back. So I'll just be doing some miscellaneous stuff, and then obviously once we get the game plan, then I'll kind of just lock in on that next week.
So how do you put a level-headed frame around the first quarter from Friday night?
I mean, honestly, it was disappointing. You know what I mean? Like just from, and I'm just speaking on the defense. You know what I mean? Like I don't think we play inspiring football. You know what I mean? Like obviously, especially going up against the team that was in the Super Bowl last year, we didn't put our best stuff on film, and obviously, that was addressed in the meeting after the game and stuff like that. But I don't think that it takes away from the work that we put in this entire training camp and how far we've come, but that just wasn't up to our standard that we put out there. And I think it was a great lesson for us to learn this early. Obviously, still the preseason that and I don't think any team is, but we're definitely not good enough to just roll out, just go out there and just play. You know what I mean? We got to go out there and play with a certain mentality and intensity, and it just wasn't out there on Friday night.
With that though, y'all did have real practice against another really good explosive offense with Buffalo, and y'all handled them pretty well.
Yeah.
Miami was a little different. They was a little banged up. Reek wasn't there, and then y'all knocked Jalen out for a while too.
Sure.
But Buffalo, y'all handled them pretty well in practice. Y'all been putting a lot of emphasis on those joint practices and the physicality in them. How do you balance that with what happened on Friday?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, there's excuses that could be made. We had a full padded practice 2 days before the game, but it doesn't really matter. Whenever that film is on and we're out there playing the game, we got to go out there with the right mentality. And every week is different in this league, whether if it's training camp, preseason, regular season. You can see a team where you can whoop up on a team one week and next week. Just because you beat the team this week doesn't mean that that's going to roll over to next week. Like you got to bring it every single week. And like I said, just with that performance, it just wasn't good enough. It wasn't up to our standard. And you kind of talk about the teams that like whether if it's Buffalo, all these Super Bowl contender teams, we got to bring the same mentality. And I think we did against Buffalo, but we didn't the next week. And like I said, I think it was just a lesson that needs to be learned. I think it was learned, and like I said, it was addressed for sure.
How much of it was, the pass rush not getting home versus like Patrick Mahomes doing what Patrick Mahomes does? And do you think that you guys will be ready for the Vikings?
Well, it was both. It was, it's pass rush coverage. You know what I mean? Like obviously we didn't game plan against Patrick Mahomes. It was a preseason game. But I played him over the years a few times, and one thing that I've always known, Patrick Mahomes, the way he plays quarterback is sort of like backyard quarterback. He doesn't take your traditional drops. He probably gets 10 yards, 9 yards back there, and the play is really never over. It's really never the first play that they call. It's always the second play. And I think that's one thing he did very well by buying time, and it was always just covering not for 3 or 4 seconds, but 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 seconds. And I think that's one thing that they did pretty good. But like I said, when you watch the film, just being critical on ourselves, they was moving at a faster speed than we was. You know what I mean? Like they was more crisp, they was more in sync than we was, and like I said, that just wasn't up to our standards. So, like I said, we wasn't game planning against them, but like I said, it just wasn't up to our standard for sure.
I think we talked to you about the physical practice you had a couple weeks ago, kind of right afterwards. But how have you seen it set a tone in the last couple of weeks?
How do I phrase that again? I'm sorry.
Did it set a tone for like the next 2 weeks afterwards? It seems like players have been pointing to it as oh, okay, this is who we are.
Yeah, that's who we want to be as a defense. We want to be physical. We want to practice hard. We want to play hard. Like I said, I think that the fact that with the game, the performance that we had on Friday happened in the preseason because it's a very teachable tape. It's not, we don't have an 0-1 record, to start the season out. But we do understand that, hey, when we go out there with right mentality and we practice and we play the way we practice, this is what it looks like. When we don't, this is what it looks like. So let's try not to do that and let's do more of this. So I think that's going to be the message and that's going to be mentality that we are going to strive to have going forward.
A couple of Tuesdays ago when you guys are hitting in practice,
yeah,
everybody comes together at the end. Do you think that was a bonding moment for you guys?
Yeah, anytime, training camp, as you kind of get, towards the middle, towards the end of training camp when bodies are tired and stuff like that, whenever you have those scrums and those fights and all that stuff, you kind of come in the locker room and obviously it's all love at the end of the day. So yeah, it's bonding for sure. I think the game on Friday was, a moment that we all came together because like I said, it was really like I would kind of say eye-opening a little bit, you know what I mean? Like we all see media, we all see the stuff. Everybody's been saying like, "Oh, the defense looks so good," da 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 da. Then we go get whooped, and it's kind of like a reality check a little bit. You know what I mean? So, like I said, everything it's never lost a lesson, and I think guys are kind of we got the message for sure.
Kevin, as you head for the regular season, what would you describe as DA's superpower?
His superpower?
What's the thing that's left the biggest impression on you?
I mean, just as a coach overall, I love, he's like I said, I personally look at he's very militant minded. That's kind of how I say. Like, if you see the way he works the room, commands the room, you would think like he's a commanding officer in the army or something like that, and we're like the troops or whatever. So he does a great job of really getting guys kind of in the right mindset to go out there and play a game and treat it as such, like as if like we're going to war. You know what I mean? But obviously, we all know he's an aggressive play caller. He's an aggressive, just the style and the mentality he wants his defense to be. So I think that's something that you will see for him, not only just the first game, but just you can just watch the film and he comes from that. I don't know why I'm drawing a blank on the coach, but he's just an aggressive style. He comes from a coaching tree that you've seen in the preseason. One game he called double safety blitzes like 6 times in one game, and they all work. You know what I mean? And it's like he's not going to be scared to go get after somebody.
What does it mean to
Been
get?
around this league. What's cut down the day been like for you in terms of seeing teammates, guys you got to know throughout camp, the offseason, leaving this team, and in the past? So what's it like for you in terms of the conversations you have with guys and mentorship, if there is that from you?
No, it's tough. I mean, you see, it's always a weird time. Honestly, like I don't really like to be in the building when it's going on. I don't like to see the Reaper walking in the locker room and tapping guys on the shoulder or calling anything. Like you just don't like to see somebody lose their job at all. Um, you hope that we're going to get some of the guys back on practice squad, whatever. But honestly, I'm checking my phone too, like to see around the league because I got players and guys that I know around the league that I'm just like kind of checking in on and stuff like that. So it's not a great day at all. You don't want to see anybody lose their jobs. And I kind of ran into Alice Cook as he was kind of walking out of the building and just told him like, hey, hopefully we can get you back here in a couple of days. But if not, I hope and praying that you land on your feet and you find a team or whatever it may be. But yeah, it's just not a great time in the league because like you said, most guys and some guys' dreams will be over. You know what I mean? Not playing in the league again. People work their whole entire lives to get to this point, and to be told they're not good enough is it's life changing. You know what I mean? So I have a ton of gratitude, for the career I've had and being able to have just finished my 10th training camp. You know what I mean? It's a blessing, and I don't take it lightly at all.
What does it mean to get Gordon back? And is there still concern with the injuries that have affected your group in secondary?
I mean, I wouldn't say it's a concern, you know what I mean? That's just the business, you know what I mean? We're going to have injuries. Every team's dealing with injuries. It's not an excuse or nothing like that. But talking about Kyler is it's good to have him back out there at practice. I mean, he's one of the most athletic DBs I've ever played with for sure. He's very versatile. He basically can play corner, nickel, and safety. So I'm sure DA is going to have some stuff for him. It's going to move him around a lot. So yeah, I mean, it's always good to have a guy like him back out there with the secondary. I know he wants to be out there. And nobody wants to be hurt, so I know he's excited.
Kevin, how do you as a veteran and leader on the field uplift a guy like Deshaun Wright as he's having a tough game?
I mean, he's been in this league, you know what I mean? Like, for me personally, like, I don't like to really, during the game and during the heat of a moment, you kind of feel the vibe of a player, you know what I mean? As long as he's not sitting on the bench with his head, between his legs, like, I'm not about to try to get on him like, hey, you know what I mean? Nobody wants to mess up. Nobody wants to give up a deep ball. But at the end of the day, those guys get paid too. You kind of let the coach handle it, get his technique right, and then, hey, just tell him, hey, you make the next one. You know what I mean? Like, say he's been in this league. It's not like he's down on himself or nothing like that. I've given up plays and stuff like that. So you never want to just be in the moment like, hey, we got to do this, we got to do that. Like, he's trying to go out there and play and make plays. So I think Sean will be fine.
What has Jaquan's energy brought back to the defense now that he's healthy?
Yeah, I mean, he just brings a certain level of intensity and a tone-setting mindset that I think that it's just great. You know what I mean? I know you guys be out there at practice, see, like, before the team periods, he's, like, yelling and all that. Like, I don't know how he does it every single day. I mean, I don't have that energy no more. I never really had that energy just to waste before the play. But, yeah, man, like I said, love his mentality. Love that he's back out there healthy. I know even for him, this training camp and even some of the games was big for him, just kind of, I would say, kind of getting over the hump of like going back out there and hitting people again. You know what I mean? So I know he's feeling good. He's feeling very confident. I'm excited to see what he does this year.
When you look back at Friday's game, of course, it didn't go the way you guys wanted, but what were some of the strengths that you looked at from your play and said, that's something we can hang our hat on heading into the season?
Yeah, I mean, truth be told, we didn't do a lot of stuff well, as far as the ones and the starters, just to be 100 with you. But what I will say, it was very, very cool to see the second and third group go out there and finish that game the right way. I know the character of the guys that we have on this team and as a group, and I think it kind of showed the way guys was able to kind of bounce back and battle back in the game. But as far as starters, it wasn't a whole lot of stuff that I felt like we really did well, just to be 100. But like I said, in saying that, we still have a very good group. We still have a very talented group. And I think we all can agree that we're just itching to kind of get that tape and wash that tape away and get ready for Minnesota for sure.
Maybe you had one of the biggest hits last year on that sack in Green Bay. I remember talking to you about it. You were saying you thought he saw you. Clearly he didn't. But either way, are you more excited that DA is more willing to send y'all on more pressure packages? Do you look forward to getting more opportunities to get in the backfield and be disruptive?
No, absolutely. I love the ability and the chance to be able to blitz. I know Jaquan is as well. Honestly, in the game on Friday, it wasn't able to get called, but the first play he wanted to call Jaquan on the blitz, but it was a kind of formation where we kind of sit the linebacker. But he wants to be a great. He wants to send the safeties, and we love that. We love to be able to pressure teams. I mean, personally, I would love to just send four and we all can drop in zones, and if we can get home with four, we can really make a lot of plays on the ball. But I mean, if anytime he's going to send me, myself, Jaquan, I know for a fact he's going to send Kyler for sure because he's a great blitzer. Anytime we can all get in there and get some sacks and stuff like that, it's great for the team and great for this defense. And but personally, I want to get interceptions. But if I can get a sack or two every year, it's always good. Yeah.
A lot of teams will be optimistic about the regular season, and then the regular season starts and reality hits. How do you know in your group when it's different? How do you know it's different?
Well, we don't know. You know what I mean? Like, just be 100. You don't know. And like I said, all 32 teams are all saying the same things right now. You know what I mean? Like, at this point, the talk really doesn't matter. You know what I mean? It's about really the work that we're going to put in, the work we've been putting in, and kind of just watching it all, pay off. You know what I mean? I don't really think that this is the time to change up who we are, change up what we're doing, or anything like that. It's all about just going out there and executing. As we get into week one, it's going to be a lot more hype. You know what I mean? We know it's going to be a Monday night game. It's going to be super loud, the crowd, this and that. For me, I just try to stay even killed throughout it all. You know what I mean? I just trust the work and the preparation that I put in. And at that point, it's just like, let go and let God. You know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, we don't really know what's going to happen. We don't know how this season's going to go. We can only just focus on what's right now. And so I think we had a really good practice. We're going to have another practice tomorrow. And then on Wednesday, I'll take some time with my family, kind of just resetting my mind, having some gratitude for finishing the training camp. But then after that, we're just locked in on the process. You know what I mean? And I think can't really think too far outside of that. Just focus on the process. And I think if your process is right, and if everybody's process is right, I think we'll get the results that we want.
You've been fooled before. Have you thought during training camp, hey, we're going to be really good, then you're not? Or have you sat there and gone, I don't know whether we're going to be any good, and then the team is?
No, that's a fact. I've had weeks where we had terrible week of practice and we whooped somebody. Matter of fact, COVID year, when I was in Tennessee, we was like the first team that kind of got the facility shut down because of COVID. And we wasn't able to practice the whole week. I remember it's kind of cheating, but I was going to my friend's house. We was working out together. We weren't supposed to be doing that. We were supposed to be at the house just watching film.
Now?
I mean, it's over now. They ain't going to do nothing. No, so we didn't practice the whole week. Buffalo went through their whole week. They practiced, and, we was kind of guys were really kind of nervous. It's like, bro, we haven't practiced. And I'm pretty sure Buffalo was saying, they ain't practiced, they ain't did nothing, whatever. And we beat them 43-16. No practice. Came in the next week Coach,
We don't need to practice.
didn't practice this week. It's rolling. But now I say that to say, you don't really know. There's time you have great week of practice. I think before this Friday game, we had great practice and stuff like that. We met good and all that stuff, and then it don't, translate. So, like I said, but you have to be process driven instead of results driven. Like I said, we just got to make sure we're having good processes. And then after that, let the cards play out.
Who are you working out with?
Kenny Vaccaro, he was a safety at the time. Yeah.